Hello and welcome to v&ination. My name is Alex and this is another edition of Scattered Thoughts. Last week, it's kind of funny because things took a turn when Titus decided to talk about AI taking over the government and how it would potentially be better. And he brought up a lot of things that I may have disagreed with, but overall my big premise was that's wrong. But I'm kind of going to address that while talking about my topic today because we've seen a huge surge of coronavirus memes and coronavirus is taking over. People are getting time off and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm not seeing the time off, but I guess somebody is. Anyways, so the coronavirus is a virus that originated from Wuhan, China because a dude decided to eat a bat, which is pretty metal. But anyways, a lot of things have come out about it with the media kind of blowing it out of proportion. We've seen shortages of a lot of different supplies, such as toilet paper. And I mean, one of the hopes is that the guys who just got toilet paper hopefully got condoms so they don't reproduce. But again, just my thoughts. That being said, his theory of the AI taking over would be very, very bad in a situation like this. And I say this for a reason. Humans have this ability to rationalize emotion. It's not a bunch of ones and zeros in our head, it's a person. And I kind of talked about how it wouldn't be effective on a criminal level because robots don't see crime as a gray area when it is. For instance, murdering someone in self-defense is still murder, but if a robot goes, well, murder's murder, you're going to death row now, then you kind of lose that human element, which is one of the big things that we have as our founding fathers made in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights with being judged by a jury of our peers because they might understand the situation. And, jury nullification has been used in the past to absolve people of crimes that weren't really crimes. I know there was an instance in Texas where a man came home and his wife and child were raped and murdered. He found out who did it and killed him and then, got away scot-free because, obviously, that was kind of justified. But back to the coronavirus problem. I know I jump around a little bit, but back to the coronavirus problem. In AI's situation, we would see something very similar to what Italy has started to do, where, old people are just being left to die because their chances of survival aren't very high. And that's a very cold way of thinking, and it's not very empathetic, which is something you want a government to be because, it's about being a community and about, governing a community that is supposed to be, caring about their neighbors and courteous of those sort of things. This is also a problem with socialized medicine because there aren't enough resources to provide the solution to the amount of coronavirus cases that we had. Now, a few things that we've noticed about the coronavirus. A, it mostly affects old people or people with pre-existing conditions, such as asthma or other respiratory illnesses, and obviously older people. And I'm going to take a gander and say probably babies too, because they don't really have much of an immune system yet. But the majority of cases, people have survived. And this is why it's starting to be blown out of proportion, because it doesn't make sense that the media is blaming Trump and blaming the government for a lack of response when the government's done that. They got criticized for doing it. So the media basically makes it so that the government is in a lose-lose situation. And then everyone freaks out because they feel like nothing's being handled and there is no solid voice. And that's something that is kind of covered with Donald Trump. He made Pence, his vice president, the main spokesperson addressing coronavirus. And that's really what you want from a government or a governing body, is a single voice that is telling the facts. And right now, because of the internet and because of how media wants to paint Trump as a bad guy, whether I like Trump or not isn't important, but because of the political bias that is being spun in the media, we're getting a lot of misinformation, and that's causing a lot of panic, and we're seeing that with toilet paper shortages, food shortages, and other sorts of supplies that are suddenly, being shortaged, or, they're falling short because the supply is greater, the demand is greater than the supply. So we kind of see that issue. And, I mean, Titus's thing with the AI isn't really that big of a deal, but you have to think that AIs wouldn't be able to handle this situation much better anyway. Now, they may be able to address that sort of situation where there's a single voice, because, an AI program is one program, and if it's built to do this, then it can. It's designed to handle this kind of thing, and it's not going to blow things out of proportion. It's going to give you the very cold, hard facts. Which in some ways would be beneficial, and other ways could cause even more panic, because we don't have a way to basically not dumb it down, but, soften the blows. Like, if you're old, you're probably screwed. AI will probably say exactly that, or something along those lines. And then, in following with that sort of program, an AI government would only work if, everything was socialized or everything was communism, which I don't like. But if it were in that situation, then we would see what's happening in Italy, where the AI goes, they're old, can't do anything about it, their chances of survival are too low, don't bother. Go to the sick people who can actually do something. And we see this in the military. There's different codes for wartime casualties, and if someone's that badly injured, don't even bother trying to save them, leave them to die. There's nothing you can do about it. And so I think we would see a much larger scale of that with an AI government. And there's actually an anime about this, and I didn't tell Titus about this anime whatsoever, but it's called Psychopaths, and basically there's a giant government AI that controls all sorts of crime and analyzes when someone's about to commit a crime, and they punish it. And it's actually kind of a good anime if you're looking for a thriller and you're looking to get into anime without it being too crazy, but it also kind of gives you a really dark, future of what if we take these red flag laws that exist in the United States. There was somebody who was killed very recently due to a red flag no-knock raid, and we're basically punishing these people before they even commit crimes, when they might never have committed crimes to begin with. And this kind of mentality is taken and, really stressed upon in the show Psychopaths, which it's a very good anime. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should. With that being said, I think I've kind of addressed the problems with AI and the lack of emotions that they have and the reasons that it would cause problems. As well as I've talked about why socialized medicine isn't working, and we can see that in Italy. And that's kind of my scattered thoughts. They're a little scattered, but they're all together somewhat. Anyways, if you haven't already, please go ahead, hit that like button if you like the kind of content we bring on our scattered thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so that you can be up to date when we drop new videos. We have a new one coming out very, very soon to celebrate yesterday's St. Patrick's Day. We decided to watch the Boondock Saints, so tune into that so that you can see what we think about your favorite classics. This has been Veritas et Iudicium. Thank you, and goodbye.